Alexis, are you going to be willing to share and show the latest developments?
Sure.
That would be great. So we're going to start with Alexis showing work in progress, integrating the new home page with enrollment, which means binding the VA PALS patients with the VISTA patients. And so let's see, I will make you presenter there, Alexis, or I think you could just, perhaps you can just, Linda, make Alexis presenter, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I just shared my screen. Did that work?
It did, yes.
Okay.
See it.
So we have the combined patient lookup here that looks both in the list of enrollees in the VA PALS program and a cached copy of all of the patients in for the hospital as well, as of the previous night. And so it honors, oh, I see my latest change isn't here. So we're unfortunately at the moment we have pieces of this in two places. Right now, if someone is enrolled, I'll show you in a second. This actually looks different now, but we can select one of these patients who's already enrolled, and if we click submit, we can go see the case review page, or the form review page. And if we go back and let's see, I want a number that isn't enrolled. So, and we honor the CPRS query formats here. So we honor last 5 initials, letters of the last name. So C0113. Since this patient has not yet been enrolled in the VA PALS program, we get this confirmation step. And if we say yes, we're taken to an intake form. So just to give you a very quick look at some of the tiny front-end pieces that are actually changed already. Did I do this? Let's see, I'm not sure if I pulled these changes over to Avicenna or just have them on my Docker instance. Right. Sure enough. Is my Docker instance running? Well, you know what? It's a small change. So a change is made. Yeah,
hey, Alexis, it's Sam. I've not seen patient selection before. Is this new?
This is.
Okay.
This just in the last few days.
Okay, very good. I'm interested to. It looks very familiar, and I wanted to know, how did you get to implement it? What did you do?
Well, obviously we don't have QEWD working on the back end. We have George's routines. Yeah. Handling these calls, but I did pull over and actually simplify the code that we use for the Panorama FileMan.
Okay, cool, and that's really nice. So you're doing web service calls against FileMan?
Actually, George has to answer that question. I haven't looked at his code recently, but I presume so, yes.
Yeah, Sam, he's making a web service call, and we are looking up in the graph the patients.
Oh, and in the graph, okay, not in the patient file.
Right. You see, this is the graph has been every night. The graph gets updated with information about the patient.
Okay.
And that graph can either, if VA PALS is installed on the VISTA system, on the same VISTA system that it services, then that is very fast, and it's equivalent to you basically doing some FileMan extracts into the graph. But if the VA PALS system is installed in a system that is separate from the VISTA system it's servicing, then it uses the MTAB broker to actually pull the information about the patients into the graph. In either case, they end up, by the time this runs, it's in a graph. And where the web service does searches the graph. It implements the search criteria against the graph.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Sure. So you went very fast, Alexis, on the intake form. We didn't get to point out the fields that are pre-filled from Vista on those as part of the process.
Okay, let's see. This guy will have. Well, let's see. I don't know.
He's fine. We're fine.
So if we go to the intake form, study ID.
Right. So now you notice the study ID is gone from the form up at the top.
Right. Date of birth.
And it's been go back up to the top. Let's start at the top.
Okay.
Alexa.
Yes.
Top of the intake form. Okay. It used to be, last week what you had was the patient's name, and after the patient's name you had the study ID, and the study ID is now no longer there, and instead what you have is the last 5. So that's the first letter of the last name and the last 4 digits of the Social Security number, and that's the same. If you want a shortcut to get to this patient, all you would have to do is type that in at the search criteria. So that's what's been replaced on the intake form. We have, of course, the names. If you want to see the study ID, it's down there. It now corresponds to the DFN of the patient. It has 3 letters which correspond to the site, the Vista site, where which actually defines which Vista system we're talking about, and then the DFN is after. So that's actually the DFN of that patient on the but it's not an important number anymore for users to memorize. If a much better way for them to remember patients is with the last 5, or of course with the name. And now you can go down a little further. We can show the date of birth being pulled. Alexis. So from Vista, we pulled some fields. I don't. My screen hasn't updated yet. There's the date of birth, right? And shortly we will also have the Social Security number. We pull the date of birth and the last 5 at the same time for all patients, to be ready for the lookup. And so we're going to be making a second call to Vista as part of the enrollment process, and we'll get back from that more data, the Social Security number among them, but more data about the patients to pre-fill. So that's the status right now. We're doing our first pull from Vista and pre-filling forms, and we're going to add a second pull. We'll have it at enrollment time, and we'll be able to pre-fill more fields on the intake and background form as part of that. So that's our current status. Why don't you go back to the home page and demonstrate the lookup syntax? You try a first letter of the last name, and then a comma, and then the first letter of the first name, for example, and show how that works. So people.
Hold on 1 second here, George.
You just press the home key, right?
Okay. What did you want me to type in?
You type in the first letter of last name, and then a comma, and then the first letter of the first name.
So yes, we honor that.
Right, we honor that, and it doesn't have to be 1 letter; it can be multiple letters. So, in fact, if you do right, DA, or try a DE. There. So right, so essentially, And these are the same. This is the same protocol that CRS uses. And then, of course, you showed earlier the last 5. Have you made a commit to the repo of your newest changes?
I have, yes. And they list here.
Go ahead.
There was a question?
No, I was going to say, our demo yesterday, after we let someone else talk, I will go ahead and pull those changes into VenDev, and you can show them at the end of the call.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, it's nice timing since I have a leaf blower right outside my window, so I will stop sharing my screen and my.
George, is that the repo? Is that the VA PALS repo on the OSEHRA account?
No, this is our internal VA PALS repo.
Okay, so I thought you guys were transitioning to use the public one.
We are. We're going to continue to use our internal one, but we're going to publish to the public one.
Okay. You know when the publish is going to happen?
That's a good question.
And how has it been happening?
I don't know that it's happened yet. Rick, you want to address that? Are you here? I don't see it. Alexis, have you posted anything to the public?
I can speak to that. So I was just talking to Rick about that yesterday, and yes, we want that to happen. I will talk to Rick about it again today. I think that we really can do that almost any time here. I know I have just been, and I think it's going to be me who does it, I have just been focused on the patient lookup thing because others were sort of waiting on it. So Sam, that's not a very concrete answer, but as soon as possible, I'm going to talk to Rick about it again today.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So this is Matt. I have a question on how patients actually get identified for enrollment in the first place in this program.
That's a very good question. There are. I think the answer that I know right now, and I'm perfectly willing to be corrected by Rick Avila or Drew here, is that there are in place at the VA sites some search programs that go against the search tools that go against the corporate data warehouse and other things, and they're looking at even using some Vista searches as well, and that there's a bunch of things that happen previous to starting to use VA PALS, which allow them to, which can come up with prospective lists of people who might be enrolled. I think that there's work going on to improve the, to improve that process, perhaps by having more, more standardized records for veterans on tobacco use, like in pack years and things like that. And once those things get implemented, Vista reminders could be used to help pull lists of patients that are prospective enrollees. But we're not building any software, we're not building any forms or screens which are intended for that use right now in VA PALS. Essentially, when the nurse navigator comes to the first screen in VA PALS, he or she knows which patients are going to be looking up and enrolling in the program.
Okay,
right?
So it sounds like the patients are not like new to the VA. They've been in the VA for a while. They've got data
absolutely
already there.
Right.
And for some reason they trip a screen, probably pack years, age, and things like that.
Right. Yeah. Right. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. So then it makes sense that some of that data can be prefetched as soon as they're enrolled.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's why we're working on the prefetch. Yes, the assumption here is any patient that's going to go into VA PALS is already in VISTA, and they're already a veteran, and they're already registered, and there's data about them there. So there's valuable data in VISTA for us to pull to prefetch. And so we're just starting the process now of identifying what data we want to try to prefetch and when. There'll be a set of data that we'll fetch at enrollment time, which at enrollment time we pre-fill the intake form and the background form. So any data elements on either of those two forms would be candidates for what to pull at enrollment time. But then there might also be data that would be valuable to pull at the time when the user wants to create, for example, a CT evaluation form. So during the creation process of that form, we may do another call into VISTA using RPCs and pull additional data for that form, into it. And that's, for example, the work that you and Larry are doing on CPT codes for radiology might be valuable right then. So we might be able to actually query VISTA and find what radiology codes have been used, and that might inform the work on the CT eval form, for example, or the follow-up form. And we don't know what that is yet. We're still at the exploratory phase of what can we pull from VISTA, and there's discussions being done on what would we like to have pulled, or what we would like to see on the forms as well. So.
This is Rick. I just want to point out that some things that we can pull, for instance, if PAC years is there, we probably won't trust. So, and we'll ask the patient, the nurse navigator will ask directly. So, let's keep the communication going regarding, what type of data we could possibly pull, and we'll decide whether we should pull it.
Right. I noticed on the background form, there's actually two fields. One field is what did VISTA say, or what did the ordering provider say was the PAC years, and then there's another field which what does VA PALS say the PAC years is for the interview. There's actually two fields for it. So yeah, you could actually report the first one, and without overlaying or interfering with the second one.
That's right. Yes. So, but it'll be a case by case, and probably that's the only one that we have both already on the forms. But let's see what happens.
Oh, right. Okay. Great. Yeah. So this is so Matt, what you asked is very much a work in process right now. That's part of the work that's going on, is the analysis of those kinds of fields. That's a good question.
I appreciate it. I'm still trying to get a feel for exactly the flow of information and people and process, so thank you.
Sure. That was the biggest demo I knew of. Linda, could you type in if you're still not, if your audio's not working? What else did we discuss we were going to try to show today?
I think it was just this.
Yeah, I think this was the main thing to show.
I think this is what we were going to.
Does anyone else have questions or topics they would like to bring up? We could. Okay, great. Well, obviously, this is the status of the work you saw this morning is that we're getting it running on. It's not running on Avicenna. We're getting it, all of it running, pieced together and running on a separate development server, and that's because it disrupts a lot of what was on Avicenna. So there are changes We're changing the database. We used to call the graph the LCAP patients graph, and now it's being called the VA PALS patients graph. And we've changed the format and the derivation of the study ID, tying it to the DFN. We made database changes. We're also going to be changing the format of the dates on all the pages and in the database. And so we're having to convert the database dates to the new format and making sure that the dates that we display are in the correct format. And we're obviously changing the home page as well. So, and putting in the patient search. So there's a lot of changes that all have to be put in kind of simultaneously and get it all running together. And we'll do that cutover probably this week. I think we're very close. I think we'll do the dates. We'll do the new fixes that Alexis has for the display of the patients in the lookup, and we will, and then we'll be ready to start cutting over. So actually, why don't I? If you guys give me 1 second, I will pull over those changes to VenDev that we talked about, and Alexis can show the latest his latest version of the list. Rick Avila, do you have another topic you can cover right now?
I could just basically say at this point that we're about to get a bunch of changes to the intake and the background forms. The background form will become entirely optional and be stripped down to mostly the medical history. And the intake form will be just asking a couple questions about smoking history, et cetera. So we're about to see, hopefully today or tomorrow, we'll get that out to the team, and we'll start to work on really bringing those down.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing the changes. And just for the benefit of anybody on the call that might be confused, these changes are going to be a result of user feedback. Astonishingly, people who take care of patients don't like to spend a lot of time filling out forms. It's just amazing. So we've taken their suggestions about how we can cut down on these, and we'll be revising the forms and the documentation according to their requests.
Okay, Alexis, you could present your screen again, and I think the changes should be there on VenDev. You may want to reload, yeah. You may want to reload your browser page to get the new JavaScript and changes in it. So it doesn't look like they were reflected. It looks the same. Well,
it'll be something to show next time.
Well, I think I can verbally describe what I think it is. Verbally, I think that those patients in the list that are enrolled in VA PALS already, that have the VA PALS yes, they will be bold in the list, I think, and they will have the words of enrolled in VA PALS. Not forget the yes. And those patients that are not yet enrolled, will not be bolded, and they won't have anything about VA PALS. They won't have the enrolled in VA PALS no. At least I think that's the changes that Alexis put in. Alexis, we're not hearing you if you're talking.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I finally realized I was on mute. So that explains a few things. I was talking the whole time.
Oh, okay.
That's all right. So, so everything that George said is correct. And I've also added fields for date of birth and gender, which we had agreed we wanted listed here under details as well. Am I wrong about that, George?
No, I would love to have that. We're gonna have to make sure we pull over date of birth in the pull.
Sure.
I think we do. No, the thing we don't pull is gender right now. So Larry, we're gonna have to pull gender, Larry. So.
Okay, that can be pulled in the nightly poll. So I'll take care of that.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need date of birth and gender in the nightly poll, and then we'll be able to display it here. And I think that'll make it much easier to distinguish which patients you're looking at. And I think that matches up with the fields that you're shown on the CPRS patient lookup screen as well. Those are the patient fields. So good. Any comments or concerns? If not, we'll give you the rest of your afternoon back. Matt, are you speaking? Can't hear you. You might be on mute. I don't know.
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Artit, anything you'd like to bring up?
Doesn't look like it.
Artit still is on mute. Drew, anything you'd like to comment on?
I'm very impressed with the agility of this group to bring in new features. Very impressive.
Thank you so much. We love encouragement. We do. We really do.
I like working with an agile team.
That's it. That's what we are. We're agile. Okay, great. Well, on that very positive note, we're going to end today's call, and we'll see you all again next week.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. See ya.